the mother of all Philippine maps, the 1734 Murillo Map. 1734. It was the most detailed map at that time. It was like Google Earth. It created a sensation in Europe because it was so detailed. And how did Father Murillo do it? Well, he ordered all the Jesuit missions to describe to him the coast in the area, all the parish priests, and he was able to gather everything, and he came out with the most detailed map at that time, like Google Earth. And it shows Panacot. Scarborough is the name of Panacot, 734. We named it Panacot more than 200 years before China drew its 9-line map. Unfortunately, we don't have a copy of this. None of our private or public museums have a copy of the Murillo map. So fortunately, I was informed that Sotheby was going to auction off a 1734 Murillo map. And I asked the private museums if they can buy it. Well, of course, the National Museum had no budget for it, but I really wanted to bring back this map so that our school children can see that since 1734, 200 years before China thought of the 9-line, we already called Scarborough Shoal as Panacot. It's there in our map. And fortunately, well, I couldn't get any response from the private or public museum, so I asked a friend if he can buy the map, but with one condition: he will resell it to the National Museum at cost when the National Museum has the budget. And he said, okay, we'll do that. And he participated in the bidding. It was a furious bidding from about 30,000 British pounds. It went to over 120, about 12.6 million pesos. And he won, happily, he won. So the map is coming back. Then I asked the director of museum if he can buy it, but he said, it's already 2014, we don't have the budget. How about 2015? Well, we already submitted the budget, we cannot change it anymore. How about, can your friend wait till 2016? So I asked my friend, can you just wait until 2016? He said, never mind. Never mind. I said, wow, my heart sank. And he said, never mind, I will just donate it to the National Museum. So the Murillo map is coming. It's going to be exhibited permanently in the National Museum so that our school children can look at it and see that Scarborough Shoal belongs to the Philippines, and it is their civic duty to recover it one day for the Philippines. Because one day, China might reform and might say, okay, let's submit this to arbitration by the ICJ, and this will be evidence because this is an original print of the map. And the fellow who graciously accommodated my request is here, Mr. Mel Velarde. He was the one who bought it. Mel. Remember in the arbitration case in the South China Sea arbitration that we have with China, the tribunal requested us to submit ancient maps of littoral countries. And this is one of the maps we have submitted, and we are willing to submit the original if the tribunal wants to examine it. And there's a story about this map because this belonged to the Duke of Northumberland. And of course, the Duke of Northumberland owns the Alnwick Castle, which is the setting for the Harry Potter show, and that is the setting for the Hogwarts School of Wizardry and Witchcraft. And so this map stayed there because according to the Duke, he kept the map there. His family kept it there since the time they bought it. So it stayed there for more than 200 years, and probably it has now the force of the School of Wizardry and Witchcraft. So we will be able to use it. So that's the story of the 1734 map. Oh, by the way, the British came here, as I said, in 1762. They plundered Manila. It was the first rape of Manila. They brought with them and they left the copper plates of the Murillo map. That's why we don't have the Murillo map anymore because we cannot print it. The British took the copper plates with them to London and reissued it. and that's what probably the Duke of Northumberland bought. And when the British ran out of copper plates to print their Admiralty maps, they melted the copper plates. So there's none anymore. But of course, 10 years after 1734, Murillo issued a new map. He removed the vignettes. On the left side, you have the vignettes of people and places. The right side also. He just issued a map, the middle portion, and there are Filipinos here who own that. One of them is Senator Angara. There's also one copy in the Lopez Museum, but we don't have yet for public display. I heard that there's a fellow who owns two of this 1734 map, but it's kept under lock and key, and the Filipino people cannot see it.
To do our closing remarks is the Chairman and CEO of the Asian Institute of Journalism and Communications. Since we are inside the Bureau of Treasury, and I hope Secretary Henares is listening, I should tell you that among his many accomplishments, he was awarded, hear this, Top Taxpayer for the year 2009 in the financial capital and cities in the Philippines. He's, of course, he's also the CEO of a listed company, Now Corporation. Ladies and gentlemen, the chairman of the Asian Institute of Journalism and Communication and the generous donor of that expensive but important map, Mr. Mel Velarde.
We have 2 minutes before lunch. We express our extreme thanks and deepest appreciation to the Honorable Justice Antonio Tirol Carpio for his lecture today, but more importantly for his continuing advocacy and painstaking travels and talks around the country to educate our people about this most critical issue. We are blessed to have a Filipino who stands up in defense of our maritime rights and sovereignty at this particular time. Never did we have an international dispute in recent history that summons someone to father this nation. So we look up to you, Justice Carpio, as our nation's father in this most critical moment of Philippine history. Thank you. We thank the host of this most historical venue, our National Treasurer, Attorney Roberto Tan, our Assistant Treasurer, Gisela Lod, and one of the members of your agency who has been very helpful to us, Attorney William Beluso. I should thank Rod, our trustee, for being MC, and the most illustrious, the best-selling author of the country today, for doing the moderator's job, Marites Vitug. Well, we have a task in media. As you witnessed, this is a very complex issue, and we cannot have only one man doing his job for the entire 100 million Filipinos. I sort of tried to participate in a small way, but our task now, and I want to spend 2 or 3 paragraphs for the media, we need to process this information and communicate this in ways that our people would able to understand. We are not really against the Chinese people, and social media shows plentiful of evidence of direct and endearing engagements with the Chinese people. What we are against, and which is clearly stated today, is the Chinese government policy on the South China Seas. So we end this program with a clear sense of direction as members of Philippine media and communications departments in government agency, that we must prioritize the use of our airwaves and print space for this particular issue until this issue is over. I'm thankful that our friends, presidents and officers of KBP, Kapisanan ng Broadcasters ng Pilipinas, whom we founded 30 years ago, and many of the other organizations are here. And we should keep in mind as the final note that the real battleground would be decided by the free-thinking Filipino and Chinese people. There are hundreds of millions of Chinese people, perhaps all of them, capable of having independent minds, and they do have independent minds. And like us, they're also emblazoned with the same lofty ideals. Like the Filipinos, they too are peace-loving. So we should direct our communications, content, and strategy to the Chinese people themselves. Again, thank you, Justice Carpio, and thank you to everyone for coming to this event.